Kool-Aid drinkers, we are back, baby. We are back. We've taken a week off after the extremely sad 45-31 loss by the hand of the Washington Commanders team. The Lions historically just cannot be in the playoffs for whatever reason. I think it's 0-5 now all time in the playoffs. We're going to get into that game. We're also going to, we've had the week off, so there's also been a lot of coaching changes. We'll get to that later in the episode after we talk about this game first. We're going to get into all of it. But before we do, let's introduce the Blue Kool-Aid crew that is here on Big Z. Let's get to the rest. We got Red Dog.
Yo!
Bob.
Goddamn Lions.
And UJ.
Hello, Lions fans. But let's just think of that Radiohead song, Optimistic. Be optimistic, folks.
All right.
Oh, man. I guess we haven't had enough time to lick our wounds just yet, huh?
Yeah, I mean, this was by far the worst game of the season for the Lions, and they chose the worst time to have it. It's hard to say where to start. I guess my first start is the Lions, a lot of injuries on defense, whatever. But they're up 7-3. They have the ball in the red zone with a chance to go 14-3. They go empty. They take Gibbs out of the game. They put Montgomery. They line him up out wide. And then Graham Glasgow can't hold his guy, force fumble, and they turn around and make it a 10-7 game. And I don't know about you guys, but I thought 14-3, like we saw the Eagles this past weekend, they went up 14-3. They actually took advantage of going up early. And it was never the same game after that for them. The Commanders are a team that they like to methodically go down the field, hold the ball as long as they can, convert a lot of third and fourth downs. But when they're playing from behind by double digits early, they're forced to kind of push it more than they are comfortable with. And I don't know. To me, the game started slowly go downhill after that moment. I think that was the biggest moment in the game, personally, for me. I don't know how you guys felt. But,
I actually agree with you.
I'm with you.
I don't understand. What are you doing, Ben Johnson? What are you doing?
I'll tell you what.
I don't understand.
Are we going to get into that subject right now, or are we just going to talk about the game?
Might as well
I
dive
think
in.
This needs to be addressed.
I mean, Jameer Gibbs is running for 8 yards a carry, and we go empty, and it's just I really don't understand it.
Okay,
I don't understand
there's a lot of theories on this. I'm going to start with one, and this is the Game of Thrones theory. Okay, remember Game of Thrones, greatest show. It was the greatest show on TV, man. Everyone, we'd have watch parties out. Then the last season comes along, and they just wanted to get it over with. Ben played that like this is the last season of Game of Thrones. I'm just going to throw stupid plays out there because I'm Ben Johnson and I'm the greatest thing that ever lived. And then he does that play, which was the horrible call. And then later on in the game, we're down by 10, but we're coming back. And we're the offense is starting to hum again. Now they're moving the ball down the field. And then they throw that lateral freaking thing to J-Mo to throw a pass on of it. Like, what the hell was that? I mean, his arrogance got the better of him in this game. I'm telling you, Ben Johnson blew it.
He blew it all right.
I'm telling you.
Bob, do you feel the same way?
Not quite. I didn't mind the J-Mo play. What I didn't like is the fact that J-Mo threw it into triple coverage when he should have just thrown the damn thing away.
You're a supreme athlete. Just run it and see what happens.
Yeah, but I don't mind the trick plays because we've been living by that all season, and I don't have a problem with it. I mean, it didn't work, obviously, but
you're putting the ball in the hands of arguably the dumbest player on the team.
Yes.
Well, I don't know about that.
I like the trick plays, but I also think trick plays become significantly riskier in playoff football because you're playing against playoff teams and like just the discipline is up, everything's up. And like if you watch that J-Mo play, the guy who picked him off, the kid out of Michigan, the rookie, he never even flinched at a single fake in that 4-level deception. Like they didn't bite on it at all. And so, but J-Mo actually could have ran probably for like 20 yards if he just went around then. But to me, like it's the level, like that. It's too much fluff and not enough substance to the play. And like, obviously they didn't drill it into J-Mo's head. Don't throw it into coverage. Like, to me, it was unnecessary complications. That's what it is. Both plays, unnecessary complications. When you're down there in the red zone and you got to get 1 or 2 yards and you got the best run game in the sport, you don't add risk where you give a chance at a pass rush in the red zone, like when you don't need to. You like a pass rush is a more risky play. You give them a chance to make something happen. It's so much harder to make a running back fumble or something. It was adding risk factors unnecessarily, and that's what bit us in the ass on both of those plays significantly.
I thought the empty set one was more egregious, but UJ,
it was the worst one. I
thought
agree.
where you were going with that, I thought you were going to talk about how Ben Johnson had his interview with the Bears. He was thinking about that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Instead of coaching the damn game.
Well,
Right, that's why.
It's kind of what I was inferring to. And then, no, go ahead.
I actually don't think he called that bad of a game overall. Besides those 2 plays, obviously that stick out. I mean, we still scored 31 points in this game, and that is despite Jared Goff having not his best game by far.
No.
Made 2 boneheaded throws in this game that cost him dearly.
The refs didn't help, but he got blown up in his face there, and
No, they
penalty
didn't.
on it.
But we scored on the one possession he wasn't even out there for.
Yeah.
The
The,
Super Bowl
pick-
reverse.
That should have been a penalty.
The pick six,
Might as
though,
well.
actually kind of like shows how we fell right into the game plan we were trying to get them to, because he got like it looked like he looked. I was really thinking about this. What was it? It was he like, did he feel a tad bit of desperation, like he needed to make something happen? Was there a little bit of extra pressure that he was feeling beyond, like he needed to pick up the slack for the offense, for the defense? Like, I don't know. It spoke something to like a mindset that like our offense just wasn't in the right gear that day. They felt they didn't have that patience that we've watched them have all year. If he checks that down to Laporta, that's a huge
Wide
chunk
open.
and maybe an easy
right
first
in
down.
front of him.
And it's just
Yeah.
so uncharacteristic
He
of
wasn't even
him.
under pressure.
And I just think there was something. That's why I almost feel like it goes back to Ben. I just don't know if Ben's head where it was at in that game. Honestly, he did call some good plays, but like, tell me this: Gibbs had how many touches for how many yards? He was eating them alive at will. They couldn't stop him for their life. All our inside like angle plays, the fast hitting stuff was dominating. And then we do these long developing plays, they get stuffed. It's like he never went back to the effective stuff and let us just lose the game. And Gibbs could have just won that game by himself the way he was playing. He should have
14
had way
carries,
more touches.
105 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's
Yeah.
7.5 a carry.
Yeah. 14
Ridiculous.
Pretty good,
He
pretty good.
They couldn't stop the man, and they didn't give him. They stopped feeding him.
I think it's funny.
Idiot.
It's like when somebody leaves your job, they get blamed for all the shit, for the next month. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
so and so. That was
No,
his
because
problem.
then we're gonna
Yeah.
pile on
So-
right now. We're gonna pile on
Yeah,
because I'll
for
tell
sure.
you what,
He deserves it.
he's a traitor. Ben Johnson.
Yeah, he is.
He stabbed
Benedict
he
Johnson.
stabbed Campbell in the back. He's like Gollum, like, and you just look at you. Hey, and you look at him now, like Ben Johnson. Every time we see him, he's very stoic. He doesn't say much in the background. He just looks like a genius in there. Everyone's just like, "Oh, this guy's a genius," because he's just so geniusy. Like, and then
Did he have
and then,
like a-
but now he talks. But now he
talks
goes
a
in
lot.
front of the press and his face looks more gaunt and goofier, and he's kind of like
He's still trying to figure out his left from his right, UJ. I don't know if you saw that.
he looks-
Someone asked him a question. They said it's on his right. He picked up his hands and looked like left. or right.
No.
he can't talk in public really well. He was really admired when he didn't talk, but now he's got to talk.
Yep.
He's got to get up in front of the cameras all the time and think he's going to be Dan Campbell. It ain't happening.
He ain't no Dan Campbell, that's for damn sure.
It's the fact that he went to the Bears because Aaron Glenn's not getting all the blowback that Ben Johnson is. It's
That's
funny.
part of it. I'm not going to
Well,
lie. I'm not gonna
definitely
lie.
part
I
of
mean,
it.
on that 3rd and 1, shouldn't Dan Campbell have some say? Like we're running it here. Whatever play call you're
No,
calling here.
I
I,
mean,
feel like Dan Campbell has some
yes.
more say than
Oh, yeah,
we're
he
giving.
has
we're
final
giving
say
out.
in
So I
any
think there's
play
some
they
blame
do.
to him too
Sure.
on that type of play call that I don't
Sure.
think has been fairly
I
put
mean,
out there.
Dan definitely gets his blame for all of it. Like, he had his issue. Like, I mean, the timeout at the
trusted
end.
his coaches.
But his team, didn't show up the way he, promised they would, and they lost in a
Well,
pretty embarrassing way.
And it basically, I think, as bad as the defense plays, they had some key stops
did.
that could have helped, and they
did.
It's
Yes.
turnovers. That was the big thing. Was turnovers killed us.
That's
they had
why
no
Glenn-
turnovers. We had 4 or 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
at
Glenn
the
gets
end.
the benefit of the injury doubt, like especially Amik going out so early in the game. That was
Oh,
yeah.
heartbreaking.
That was
Brutal.
killer.
Oh god, that really, I think that really took the wind out of our sails a lot on defense. But like,
Yeah.
Nonetheless,
Don't let Jack
like-
Campbell hit you in the arm.
I think you would say you look at that game
Exactly.
and you'd say, yeah, right. you look at that game and you say, they played, I would say, just about the game we needed them to play to win that game on defense, expecting our offense to play the game we normally play, which we did not. And if like our offense showed up like we normally do, I think it's clear we win that game. Like the turnovers were just bad. The play calling wasn't great. It was just an off day on offense. So, but like, and honestly,
I think you're giving too much credit to our defense. I thought they were awful. And I thought if any coordinator was affected by the interviews going on, it was Aaron Glenn more so.
Really, you saw obvious adjustments.
You go back and watch his game plan. There are linebackers going against 2 offensive linemen at the second level, like just completely misaligned routinely. They're getting 5 yards to carry. Easy throws over the middle. The only time they buckled down was in the red zone. I just kind of wish like Washington would get a 50-yard gain and just get to the red zone.
I still think
I kind of disagree on that.
Yeah,
I think it was an
awful coordinated game on the defensive side of the ball by Aaron Glenn. His worst game of the year.
I'm gonna kind of disagree with you on that too, Z.
Yeah,
the injuries just
right.
finally.
I know we have injuries. I know, and
but it's
some to
beyond
blame, especially with the
beyond.
pass rush.
That
At the same time,
when Amik went down, that was like
Coverage,
a
too.
foreboding of what was coming the rest of this game. And then we're playing guys who've been on the practice squad all year in that game, in a playoff game. I mean, it wasn't a
terrible.
great game.
I'm not sure what obvious adjustments he had to make.
Routinely out of position in this game. They did not look well prepared. Is what I'm getting at.
I mean, it didn't look like
misaligned
Minnesota game, that's for sure.
Well,
now, I know we had a guy out there, especially when we went down. He was playing his first snaps of the year. I understand all that, but like I thought Jack Campbell played his worst game of the year out there. He looked lost at times out on the field. So
I won't argue with you. I think you're right.
Blame.
I think he does deserve some blame. I just think he gets the benefit of the injury thing. Like maybe he could have had a better game plan. But like he gets that little extra, like half his team was gone. But like it wasn't a great game. I don't think either unit showed up with great strategy or great production or great focus, honestly. It just seemed off.
So with the direction of this conversation, do you think those interviews before the playoff games make a difference then? It sounds like you do.
And there's a chance they did.
I mean, theoretically, I don't. They should have a chance. They might miss out on jobs that way. But,
I understand why they do. I definitely understand.
I don't.
But I still think, I think Ben Johnson, whatever you think of him now, I think he was trying to win the game. I think
I would agree.
He really wanted to get the Super Bowl with the Lions. That was like a big goal of his. It might have distracted him though subconsciously. I don't think he was.
I kind of agree.
Sloughing off or anything, but
how can it not distract you at least even a little bit? You're coaching for
it's got to,
or you're interviewing for like your dream job in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
Belichick
I
wants
hate
to
the
get
way
rid
the
of it.
NFL kind of does that, especially now that we are part of a team that has coaches that are desired by other teams.
Well,
Usually,
it's frustrating when it almost looks like it directly like lent itself to kind of our loss. Like it looks like a contributing factor, but like to me, that's just like penalties. That's just like the press. That's just like everything. And like in a campaign, you got to deal with everything thrown at you, and that's just part of the sort of the meta of the season is that your coaches are going to be kind of under poaching threat while you're going on a Super Bowl run. So that's just everyone has to put up with it. So if it's not an excuse that we can really turn to, to me it's just that's Dan Campbell. I guarantee you though. We'll take something from all of this, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's something along the. I would can't the teams refuse the coaches to interview during that time or something like that? It just seems idiocy, to just distract them in the most important time of the season.
I don't think if it's for a promotion, I don't think they can refuse it.
An interview during the season? That's so weird.
Yeah, for the head coaching, I think it's
it can't be a same job or less. It's got to be a better job.
Well, that's for a hire away. I didn't know that was for the interview itself during the season. I thought they might have a right to refuse it.
Well,
the Lions
it's only
probably
be
the Zoom
until the season's
interviews,
over.
But yeah,
but anyways, I agree with you, Bob. Though mostly this game came down to turning the ball over. You just can't turn the ball over 4 times and expect to win the game, especially in the playoffs. It wasn't this game only. It happened in the other games as well. I mean, look at the Ravens. They were probably the better team over the Bills, but they turned it over two or three times in that game.
My prediction is still coming true.
Washington the next week turned it over 5 times against the Eagles in the NFC Championship, so they had it come right back to them.
Was everyone else glad they lost?
No, I just said my prediction is still standing. Lamar Jackson will never win the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. Although
I saw somebody say today that Taylor Swift's been to more Super Bowls than Lamar Jackson. He's our second one.
That's funny.
What do you guys? Let me just go back again real quick. My thoughts on the end of the season. I mean, like, it's so frustrating. I mean, Campbell's got to be kicking himself. I mean,
absolutely.
He's not blaming the coordinators, everything. Because how are those guys not prepared? Like, all year they've been talking about after the NFC Championship, San Francisco. They're like, that thing's eating at us. That's eating at us. That's driving them all year. I wonder if the way that Minnesota game, they came out like all guns blazing, if they like peaked too soon, like in that game.
Do you think the bye week affected them? They had all this momentum, and
maybe.
then they cooled down for a week.
I think it did. Bob, you got a point there with that Minnesota game. They seem to play that up like that was the biggest game they ever won, bigger than the playoff games last year. It seemed like the way they were touting it.
It's funny that you bring that up, actually, Bob, because the Vikings did that when they beat the Packers like the week before, and then they lost to us. So like, there's something weird about over celebrating there. Maybe honestly, I think this season was like a little bit held together by duct tape in some ways, and this team kind of had like an emotion. I think Dan maybe tapped into emotions a little more than he wanted to because they had to. And the thing about emotions is you get highs and lows, and I think it caused them, like you're saying, Bob, to kind of hit a high, and then they fell into a little bit of a low at the worst time possible.
I think you're right, though, that he probably had to do that a little bit. Because think about this team, the way it was built by Brad Holmes.
Mm-hmm.
They had the best roster in the NFL by far.
Yes.
Like if they were healthy or like close to healthy, I think they roll into the Super Bowl like
easy,
unchecked. The fact that they got to 15 wins was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And then that makes you,
they
hand out these stupid towels. We want more. They should have put it as you're going out of the stadium. Yeah, we want more. More. The hell?
I mean, that's why in some ways last year was their better chance because they were way healthier going. I mean, Khalif Raymond's the only notable guy that really was out. Last year.
Like we did things a little backwards. It was like we got wild card and then got to the conference round, and now we get the 1 seed and get bowed out at the division round. And I don't know. To me, as soon as we lost this game, I thought we just had there was another lesson to be learned. We weren't there yet, and maybe it was to do with the injuries, whatever. Like Dan's going to take away, I think, the crucial lessons to feed the team next year and get things on the right track, and because it's just refinement now. Like the talent's there, the team's there. Like you just need to get like at the talent, like you said, Bob. The talent was like, if that defense is healthy, there's nobody in the because the defense is like throughout the playoff struggle. I feel like nowadays, like our defense would have really been a difference, Dan, with Hutch and Barnes.
Well,
and Rodrigo
and look at it this way too:
Carlton and
this team was the top dog all year, and playing top dog is really hard. You're getting the best shot from every freaking team, every game. And so I call this the hardening. This is chapter 4 of Dan Campbell's thing. Next year, you're going to see a much harder team, like less emotional, more just hard, gritty. Like, it's going to be so much tougher next year.
I wanted to see in this game, like instead of Jared Goff having to throw the ball 40 times, why isn't Gibbs running the ball 30 times?
Amen.
Like
it's like when Khaleesi forgot about the damn fleet of ships that had just destroyed half her army in the episode before. And that's a dragon get killed. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I thought Monty in this game looked still a
Game
half
of Thrones
a step slow, coming off his injury.
Yeah,
he got 7 touches in this game. I thought he should have had 3.
As exciting as it was to have him back, they probably would have been better without him.
I mean, Gibbs clearly is the better looking back in this game. I thought they gave him a little too much touches. I mean, it was only 7 carries, but still, I mean,
they tried to
40
like
more
it was like
Gibbs.
earlier in the season, and they started the game with him, and right away, which they shouldn't have done either.
I
They should
agree.
have Gibbs starting the game.
I agree.
And then
Gibbs
if you're
kinda
going to
earned
filter him
it.
in for a few plays, fine, do it. But Gibbs should have been starting that game.
Actually, though, the Monty carries, I'd rather cut into the Goff passes than the Monty carries. I don't have a problem with him getting 7 touches. Like, that was not the problem in that game. It was the lack of feeding Gibbs, and that wasn't because they overfed Monty. Like, it was, we were passing way too damn much. But hell, like get J-Mo more involved or something, too.
Let him throw
I
some
don't
more
know,
passes.
J-Mo's reverse touchdown was so dirty, though. That
So
was
slick.
video game. That was a video
that was
game.
sweet. That was
oh my
amazing.
God, it's so amazing. Like,
Unreal.
just do that every play. Like,
And then-
fell. Like, I don't know.
I mean, J-Mo outrun again. I mean, we've seen this multiple times this year. He outran double coverage, and Jared Goff just missed him long. On,
Yeah.
I think that was early in the.
And then he drops a
second quarter.
dime on St. Brown, like the next play, though, for like 45 yards.
He did.
That was the thing. Jared Goff did not have his best game, obviously, but he also did make some actually terrific plays in that game. It was not his worst all-around game I've seen him play. Like, that dime that played Laporta, which was a great catch by Laporta, but the way Goff stayed alive in the pocket to deliver that was top notch. Like
what a great
honestly, the interception was a mental fart. Like, it wasn't because he could also make that throw if he didn't kind of get a little bumped as he was throwing, but he should have just done the check down. He knows better. Like, the thing is, he was a little off his game, but he also played some pretty terrific football at times too.
I don't understand that throw. I don't. When you see it, I still don't understand it.
What do you guys think about?
And then the first half too. Just an awful pass. Throw it away. You're in field goal range. That's a rookie mistake. I
mean, the
should be
pass
happening
was
with a
there,
guy
or the
that's
play
a-
was there. He just threw it to the wrong spot. It was
What do you guys think about our line? Maybe got a little. Our O line got a little beaten up over the year.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Goff had the pocket that they had on Washington had.
Yeah.
You know,
Glasgow's degraded consistently this year towards the end.
yeah, and they just I don't know those
not a great
guys.
game from him.
No, I kind of agree with you.
Mahogany
Bob.
graded out the highest though for some optimism.
No, that's good because
Of
he's
the
going to be a starter
offense.
in the future probably.
He's the highest graded offensive player on our team to end the season. Granted, it was 5-game sample size, but
Yeah.
he ended on PFF. He ended with a 94.
No, but
That's
he's
exciting.
been the plan. I think he's going to start next year, and
Agree.
we're going to lose one of those other guys.
He's just surpassing guys. I think you keep Glasgow on his contract and let him fight. I don't think he wins the job though. But he's a great backup utility piece. Maybe use him as a swing
But
guy.
Zeitler will probably be gone, right?
I
Well,
don't know.
not.
There's
He's
talks
so
about
good.
Holmes and Zeitler coming back.
Oh, they talk. I didn't see that.
Brad Holmes
he's so
mentioned in his
good.
press conference.
He's
that
still
they're
playing
having
at a very
discussions.
high level despite his age.
You play Mahogany left side and him right
Yeah,
side next year.
I
that
could
could
see
be
that.
I mean,
badass.
Glasgow's not a bad, even as a depth piece. that's
Yeah,
for
keep
sure.
him around
'Cause
as
he
a
can play
veteran
around
backup.
He does. He
Yeah.
can play different parts of the offensive
Center.
line.
And then
No, I like keeping him. But you got next year will be a big year for Sorsdahl and all those guys. The guys who need to develop Manu. I've heard good things about him though. He's allegedly just.
Yeah, I feel like he's still another
Transform.
year away. But I mean, maybe try him at guard. No,
Well, that's perfect
Yeah.
because I think Decker. We got one more good year of Decker. He showed some
I
cracks
think
this
so
year.
too. He's fading a little
Yeah.
bit, but he's still playing at a very high level. But
Yeah.
he's not. He used to be unstoppable, pretty
Mhm.
much. So
His first Pro Bowl this year, and he was the third alternate. It's kind of weird, but all the years he's played here, and he's played some good years. And his first time in the
Yeah,
Pro Bowl, I'm kind of surprised.
I think he was hidden on a bad team.
Yeah,
people didn't know about
like
him.
Potentially,
who was
yeah.
our guy in the back?
Jeff Backus.
Jeff Backus, yeah.
Backus and
And they put good guys next to him. All of a sudden, he looked like a great player. Weird,
Rob Sims, baby, turned his career
Weird.
around.
really weird. How that worked.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, because that's the thing too. It's okay, blame Ben for the empty backfield, but then you also got to blame Glasgow for getting smoked. Like it was a 3-step drop. It wasn't a long drop. He got absolutely torched to his B gap, and then it was just to kind of speak to how weird. Because this is the thing. It's easy to start pointing fingers, but there's an energy. There's a ethereal element here. You get that little slippage by St. Brown on the route that causes Goff to hesitate for the slightest bit before St. Brown makes his break, and now he's getting sack fumbled. Little tiny things all around were just breaking against us, And that's just kind of like, I don't know. Those are those kind of things that happen when things are off that day. You know, like it's a culmination of tons of little things and then a few big things.
I'll tell you one big thing. Ben is a rat. Ben, the two
Benedict
of us need look no more.
I thought Ben Johnson. I just thought he was
Osama bin Johnson.
Found what we were looking for.
Do they even know the reference? EJ?
I certainly
To
don't.
see you
There's a
as
movie called
I
Ben
do.
about a rat.
I wish I could try to.
And that was the song by Michael Jackson.
Oh, wow. I'm really sorry that
I
exists now.
got a friend like
This is,
Ben. Ben,
That's
he's a
painful.
rat.
That was
We
Michael,
should have
that was
a-
a Michael Jackson song.
I would try
Yeah.
to
You,
do
Jay,
sound like him, but
So
I didn't
pitch perfect.
exactly
That was
sound
good.
Like him, but
Yeah, maybe we could get our producer to put a little Ben video out with
yeah,
the low
you're
lights.
singing?
yeah. Oh my
He's
god,
a rat as he goes to the
that would
Bears.
be great.
He is a
Yeah,
rat.
he's
He's scurrying a little rat hole that's
Honestly-
like in Chicago.
I mean, I was saving it for later, but like the Ben Johnson move
It
to
was like
Bears.
2 seconds after the game was over, too. It was brutal. It was
Ben-
like,
rat.
season's over. Ben's to the Bears.
Ben Johnson go to the Bears. I thought he was smarter than that to go to an organization that's
Right?
dysfunctional.
They paid him $13 million.
Oh, that helps.
Still.
Rat.
But, like, he could have gone to a
If
place that had,
my
like,
wallet brick, would that help ease the pain?
He's a rat.
I'm curious, did he negotiate for any, like, assurances? Because as far as I know, Poles didn't even want him, and the ownership, I heard, like, overruled him. So now you got a GM that supposedly doesn't want the guy.
I don't think that's what happened. I think
Maybe
they
not.
wanted it
He wanted it.
because
Bulls
they
wanted him?
overpaid to make sure they got him too. Because I think the Raiders
The
probably
Raiders
floated
really
that whole
wanted him, yeah.
Raiders thing.
But that's,
It's just-
I mean, I'm not saying the Bears didn't want him. I'm saying Poles didn't want him. The GM.
The fact that they paid him $13 million, I think the organization's behind them.
Well,
I
The
don't know.
organization is, but that's the problem. Like, they'll be behind him now, and then when he's like halfway through a losing season, they'll fire his ass because they don't give anyone a chance. And then the next guy will get a quarterback he didn't draft.
it's gonna
Like,
be sad.
the cycle there.
It's gonna be sad but fun to watch the demise of Ben Johnson.
You
I
better
hope you're right.
capitalize quick on the talent
Yeah,
they
I'd like
have
to see
because
demise
the
of a
Bears
rat.
don't have patience for failure. They don't let their guys grow and learn. They don't have long-term vision at all. I'm sorry.
The
Like,
Bears
to
fans
me,
definitely don't. That's
that
for
just
sure.
shows short-sightedness by Ben. Like, he set himself up. Like, look, if you look at this as like some great challenge to turn around this turd sinking ship of an organization, and it's like just like he's doing it because he knows it's going to be so ridiculously hard, like, respect. But if
Yeah.
he thinks like he's gonna go because like the Bears are like some upstanding organization and like he's in for a rude awakening, I
No,
think.
the
maybe.
the thing that you got to know about him too that came out in this process is he's a Cubs fan. So
Yes.
you know
Oh my
I
God!
know.
that's pretty makes him really
He's
unlikable.
been hiding in our ranks this whole time. That's
They
Yeah.
gave him extra cheese because he's a rat.
It's the end of The Departed. Little rat goes by.
Yeah. They're gonna have a little on his microphone on
Patted.
at game day. They're gonna have like a little piece of cheese on the end there. He's not nibbling it, like he's calling plays and shit. Because he's a rat.
We will
You
set
know,
out a
Ben.
trap for him at Ford Field when he comes there.
Yeah.
Big rat trap.
You'll know Ben's in good shape or bad shape if they don't draft offensive line next year.
Oh, wow, that was a great visual, man. Just see that. Oh, you killed me with that.
Anything else from this game?
The
Z.
game.
You guys are
uh,
pissing Z off.
Amon-Ra looked good, as he always does.
Yeah,
he had a good game.
he did.
I didn't understand what our DBs
Florida.
were doing on the Terry McLaurin touchdown screen.
Getting blocked. Well, we blitzed.
I mean, just awful tackling. Beyond belief.
Tackling. They didn't get
Yeah.
a chance to tackle. They got blocked.
Well, they
Um,
still had a chance to tackle him. Iffy and
You did.
I think it was Norris. I gotta
There
go back
wasn't
and
much of an opportunity there. I'll tell you
Pretty
what,
bad.
though. That play right there is why Meek would have made a difference because he would have shot into the backfield and took him down. Like, instead, fucking Vildor just gets hemmed up. and
Vildor.
Both
Yeah.
both
Ugh.
those guys, whoever were on that defense, both cornerbacks to that side were blocked. It was a really good blocking, and you had Branch blitzing, so it was odd man, and all McLaurin had to do was sprint past him. I mean, it was a good
Yeah.
play call too. It was a read off our blitz too. They were ready for it. That's a net knock on Glenn right there, right?
It's just so infuriating. that like the Commanders go out and play the Eagles and then just get their ass kicked.
No, to me that's it is kind of
it's just so frustrating.
I'm glad they lost. Like,
Yeah.
I thought like the thing that annoyed me the most in a weird way was just how on the Commanders everyone was when it was just so obvious the Lions played like shit. Like I don't know, like yeah, you got to give them their props, but they were acting like this team was like some like juggernaut all of a sudden. We played a shit game, and sure, their hot rookie quarterback played well against our defense that played terrible. Good job,
And
you get your flowers. But like
with the
they
Lions,
act like it was like the second coming of Jesus or something. Like it was
Yeah.
brutal. I just couldn't stand the talk afterward. Drove me nuts.
Did you guys hear the St. Brown Brothers podcast? He was talking about how they could hear the Commanders celebrating right next door in the locker room. Like that's gonna sit with those guys.
Hell yeah, it is.
So Bob, would you set the trap up like at the entrance when they came walking in?
Oh, they're still
Or
on
right
this.
off to the side, and he smells it. Like,
What do you-
He walks down
You put
there.
a playbook on the thing or something, or the cheese.
God, this one killed me. Sorry.
Question where the
Put
Lions
a pass play on it. instead
were the
of a run
Lions
play.
better off on the road this year than at home? They had
I
three,
mean,
all
just
their
think
losses
it,
came
yes.
at home, undefeated on the road.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, part of that's who we played. I mean, we played the Bills at home, and then Tampa. We should have beat them.
Yep.
And then that
And
one, I don't know. We definitely technically don't have a home field advantage. We're better on the road statistically, but
Yeah. I mean, they set it
So
up
not the
perfectly.
Bucks,
The bye, the home field advantage is all going to be. I was already making my plans for going to the NFC Championship. And
it really felt like the energy had been spent on building that season, and then it just wasn't there for there was nothing left for the playoffs, unfortunately. But
I don't get how Campbell could let this happen. That's what I don't get. I mean, I love Campbell. Don't
You
get
know
me
what,
wrong.
though?
I'm not- but like after last year, or after leading at halftime and last year in the 49ers, okay, then you come out at the halftime of this, and you're going to make a difference. And I don't know, just the same tone throughout the game. I
Ran
thought.
out of cheese.
you know, Bob, though, I can almost guarantee you, Dan's asking him that same question because I think this surprised him. Like he said it, like this, the way they practiced, everything looked on point. Whatever happened in that game was something that he was not expecting. Like he thought they were still doing everything the same way, and everything was on. Which actually just lends more credence to what was the outlier. A bunch of interviews for our our head coordinators. Like
Yeah.
there were. I mean, and that's where like I don't know. It's I hate even thinking about it because it's annoying because it's like I don't think they did it on purpose. But I do think maybe subconsciously they got a little distracted, and it bled through the whole freaking roster. And I don't know, man.
Hey,
Something got off. It was just off. The energy was off. The attention was off. Like Goff seemed like felt like he was trying to do too much.
Right.
I don't know.
They had the Tampa game vibes.
It
It just felt like he was trying to do more than he needed to do.
Well, he did a lot
That's
more
what I
than he needed to in that game. Yeah, you're right. I see what you're saying. Yeah, well, and that felt like it was on Ben. We didn't need to go away from Gibbs. Like, even if we were behind, Gibbs was the best option on offense to get not behind. Like, it just
Right.
made no sense.
Yep.
But the turnovers also just kept cutting us short. So it's like,
And the other aspect too is if you know you have an undermanned defense, you want to like try to control the clock. You want to control like the time of possession, limit the amount of time your defense is out there.
true.
Just another reason for where it doesn't make sense to get away from the run like we did in this game is more what I'm getting at.
I just think it was a bunch of little things that snowballed. It was a bad day. Whatever little reasons that turn into big reasons. I think, it's like once you're in the duel, once you're in the pocket, like, like you're shooting at each other. Once the shots are fired, there's no taking them back, and that's what a game is. That's when, like, you can do, like, the whole season means nothing. Everything else means nothing in those moments. And when those moments break against you, sometimes they just keep going against you, and you don't manage to claw them back, and it's too late, and you only get a short window to claw it back, and they didn't this time. But Dan will grow from this.
What do you say to the people that think Jared Goff is not the answer quarterback
I think
for
they're
Lions?
just hurt a lot right now.
I heard it on the
think
ticket
they're all-
a lot. The following
Yeah, I
day
think
the
they're
alternative.
angry.
You got a great running quarterbacks.
People
like
are
Josh
saying Hendon
Allen
Hooker should be in
and
there because he can run.
Yeah, Josh Allen's a great running quarterback. He didn't win it.
They didn't even trust him to be the backup.
Lamar
in the
Jackson.
playoffs.
Yeah. Also, the great almighty Jaden Daniels wiped out in the next round. Like, I mean, like it's like we act like he was the difference in that game.
He's a rookie that went to the NFC Championship. I think that's pretty good.
Actually, he played pretty good in that game too. If you watched it.
Look, he had a great rookie season. I'm not taking that away from him. He's a terrific player with immense talent. I'm not denying any of that. But like everyone acted like he was the difference in that game. And I mean, he played his part well, but it was the Lions playing like shit that was the difference in that game.
Who's everybody saying that?
Oh God, that was all the talk.
Jaden
Daniels. That was all the talk. It was the only focus after the damn game.
That was a big. I don't think they said that he like single-handedly stopped the Lions.
Basically, that was the talk.
Was that often you got a rookie quarterback in the
all the people were saying it.
Everybody.
But won't it be cool? Like if next year, like the Lions this year, they scored the most amount of touchdowns in the league or whatever, and they like the fourth most in NFL history, fourth most amount of points in NFL history, the most on the Lions. If next year they find out Ben Johnson was holding him back, like they just explode.
You know,
the offense is
like
unleashed.
Well, if you want to get into it now, so
we do gotta
obviously
get into now.
Ben Johnson leaves.
Let's do it.
I'm with you, Bob.
Ben Morton. He was a senior assistant with
John
the Lions.
Morton.
Then he went to the Broncos with Sean Payton. Now he's back.
Johnny Morton.
Oh, Johnny. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. My notes are
Same
wrong.
name as the famous receiver, but not the famous receiver.
Yeah, not to be confused with. He's white, for starters.
Much slower.
But John Morton, who I guess had a bigger influence on this offense than we realized when he was here.
2022.
Dan Campbell gives us some credit for turning around the offense, and Jared Goff specifically. So that there's something there to go outside because there were some obvious candidates like Hank Fraley, like Tanner Engstrand, our passing game coordinator. But they go to John Morton.
Hey, side note, Z, before you go into John Morton, do you guys ever get confused if it's Frank Haley or Hank Fraley?
No.
Nope.
Yep.
Okay. That's just me. All right. Go on.
But yeah,
John Morton.
they've known each other since in the Saints days. He was Jets offensive coordinator for one season. He got let go. I don't know if that
For
was
not
all
running enough.
the coordinator's fault.
Allegedly, it was because he didn't run enough. That was what I've heard of like multiple different sources. But it was like career years for all the bad players that he had, like Josh McCown and Bilal something.
So do you guys have faith in Dan Campbell's side? This is
Yes.
Of course.
we had that continuity this past year, and now this is a true test of the Dan Campbell head coaching, control of his team and the ability to keep finding new talent when it goes out the building. Success leads itself to this. So
Yeah.
I'm a Kool-Aid
John
drinker,
Gruden was
guys.
ecstatic that we got Johnny Morton.
Was he?
yeah,
Yeah.
Sean Payton's
That's cool.
Sean Payton's been singing his praises too.
Those are good.
The thing I like about it is because I do feel like Ben had, as good as he ran this offense, I didn't always feel like he was perfect. Like I felt like he had some questionable calls at times. Like I don't know. Like I'm not taking anything away from. He was fantastic. Like I don't want to downplay like that, but he's not the end all be all. But also, John Morton just got handed not the keys to a Ferrari, but the keys to the freaking Batmobile. Man, this offense is so damn stacked and good. Like the weapons he has at his disposal. Between anyone who's about to inherit Gibbs and J-Mo and St. Brown and Laporta and Demont,
and this
with
offensive
Goff
line.
feeding him in that offensive line, it's just oh my God, I don't he's got to be just losing his mind. I wouldn't be able to sleep if I was him right now. I'd be drawing plays for those guys every night. It's such a stacked, explosive offense that I'm excited to see what New Eyes will do with it.
Yeah,
New Eyes. Is that like a Minority Report reference where they took his eyes out and then they transplanted new eyes into his head?
It is now.
Okay.
Tom Cruise, remember that? All right, forget
Yeah, to beat the scanners.
Running back coach Sky Henry looks like he's staying as of now, at least. So that's a good keep because some people, if they get passed over for Austin Carter, look elsewhere to where they might be able to get promoted. So interesting there. Antoine Randall, he goes to the Bears.
That's a bummer.
He's from Illinois, so that makes a little more sense, at least for him, Chicagoland area, as a matter of fact.
I don't fault assistants at that level too much. Like Ben could have written his like ticket wherever he wanted, kind of. But like if you're a backup, like if you're like a position coach, you take your shot wherever.
Hey,
like,
didn't you
get a
guys
good
think
offer.
that Campbell was talking with these guys a little too much? Like Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, these guys are the best. They deserve a shot. I mean, these guys have done a job. You know, he's just talking about like they're
Not
the
a bit.
greatest thing since,
A lot of head coaches do that
slice
for the
bread. Maybe he's trying to get rid of
No.
them. Think about it.
Maybe he was trying to get 2 third-round draft picks. For
Yeah,
Aaron Glenn.
for
Let me-
Aaron Glenn.
Let me say this too.
Seriously.
Everybody
That's
thinks
wild.
like Ben Johnson's offense. It's actually Dan Campbell's offense. I think he has more influence on this offense than people realize.
I also say it's Jared Goff's
yeah.
offense too.
That's the
So
one-
that's another thing to remember.
Well, yes, but we also
Yeah.
saw like once
Who's
Anthony
Ben
Lynn got
Johnson?
fired and Dan Campbell started play calling
You're right.
in the
Yeah.
first season
Anthony Lynn.
that it changed.
Lynn, yeah.
It's really Lynn's offense that we're
Yeah, right.
kind of expanded on.
But Dan Campbell has a lot more say in this offense than I think people realize because he's the head coach. He's not the one actually calling in the plays, but as far as like game planning on the offense side of the ball, things of that nature, Dan Campbell has a bigger influence than I think people realize. So losing Ben Johnson, well, it sucks.
I mean, yeah.
But I think it's not as bad of a loss as people realize.
I'm not
Actually, I
worried.
think
gonna
Aaron Glenn is the
reemphasize-
better head coaching.
I'll agree,
Candidate
100%.
of the two, even if he's not the better coordinator, quote unquote. He's more because he's more of a culture guy.
I agree.
But- Z, I want to reemphasize though Jared Goff's offense because that is one of the huge advantages of why like there's not a whole lot to be worried about. Like Jared Goff and Dan Campbell both wanted John Morton, and it's Jared Goff's offense. He runs that damn thing, and like just like Brady was. How many coordinators did Brady go through? But it was his offense, or like Manning. Like that's how it's going to be in a lot of ways. Goff is the guy now, and it's going to build on him and what he likes to do, just like him and Ben set up this year. Like these guys are, it's going to be Goff's offense. He's here before John Morton. He's the guy. So like,
Yeah.
I love that continuity. Like to me, that makes me confident. And so getting new eyes and new minds to help with the creativity and some of the play calling, I think that's great because Goff is the constant. And so, and Dan Campbell.
Hey Z, you talk about will they, how they react if we replace these guys? I think personally, Dan Campbell's in that elite tier of coaches. I know it's like Andy Reid, like earlier in his career, he was winning all the time, but he could never win the Super Bowl or whatever. And he finally got to that. But I think Campbell's in that early stage. He's going to have excellent teams no matter what.
Mhm.
Maybe coordinators pop around and they change and everything, but the teams are going to still be good. So I think you can see if you get that symbiotic thing with Holmes and Campbell, I think this thing's going to run for a long time.
I agree with you, Bob. That's a really good observation. But I also
The Holy
want
Trinity.
to add to that. I think sometimes,
Sheila.
just having new blood, just new people looking at these things, giving it a new. I mean, nothing's going to change that much, but now you bring some new blood in here, new eyes, what they can do with it, and tweak it a little more. I think this is going to be even better for this team next year. I really do.
You ever notice like a lot of teams have really good plays and explosive plays and stuff and we're not the only ones that draw them up. Like a lot of sometimes I'm like we have JMO, but then I'll watch like some other random guy who's fast in the NFL get like some 70-yard touchdown. And I'm like, oh, so I mean we're not the only ones. There's not only one way to skin that cat. And with the weapons we have, man.
I think JMO too. Speaking of him, he really stepped up this year. He got his 1,000 yards, and he's running all the routes. He's blocking. He's doing everything. But I think Johnny Morton's got to exploit him a little more. I think he's got
100.
the next level. It's going to happen next year. It should.
I'm with you, Bob. I'd be studying how people deploy Tyreek Hill in Miami and the Chiefs, and how the Patriots used Randy Moss when they had him, because I think he has similar type of vertical threat ability. And when you had those two together, I don't know, I we don't see a lot of traditional just him running nines. A lot of times that was the one thing about Ben. A lot of our stuff looked very creative, but also I didn't see a lot of the just basic stuff sometimes. There's very traditional ways of going deep and stuff. We saw a little bit of that on the deep post in the Bears game, but I don't remember Goff hitting JMO for a deep 9 on down the sideline. You know, like
Yeah.
maybe that's more by design. I don't know. But my point is, like, there's just so many ways, and I'm excited to see how they approach it with this, because I just think the talent's going to make it good regardless.
The one guy I'm really glad that we're keeping is Hank Fraley. I thought there was a chance that he'd go to the Bears.
Well, I'm pretty sure
I
he's
think the
afraid
Lions
for his
ponied up
life.
a little extra dough for him. And
I'm
he's
pretty
now the
sure-
run game coordinator as well. But I mean, the offensive linemen were saying they were like going to sabotage him.
Well, when
Yeah.
Ragnar,
Oh, yeah.
Shul said that
Ragnar
he wasn't
started-
going to let him leave.
Ragnar started crying. They couldn't.
And his wife was so excited to stay in Detroit another year. She
Mhm.
broke the news on her Instagram. She's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
another year. She's like, we're not leaving. What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
You-
That's great.
What'd she say? Like, y'all really thought we were going to go to Chicago or something like
Oh,
that?
yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Hell no.
That's
That's
a great,
awesome.
great. What a great. That's like an example of like a SO, like, or significant other, like wife actually doing like a good job on social media. like that's a good post, because honestly, it played off the whole Ben situation perfectly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's the run game coordinator now, by title. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's exciting.
but again, it's Dan Campbell and his main goals in picking the coordinators keep the language the same, especially when it's a Sean Payton-esque offense. I don't know
How
if you
can
ever
we
heard
keep
these
the
play calls
language
come
the
in.
same?
They're like paragraphs.
Yeah.
Some of these play
But,
calls
like-
are like paragraphs, man. It's crazy.
So is Ben going to be sitting over there with like one of those like anabolic microphones or whatever, the distance ones, like listening to our plays? Because he knows them all. I don't know how you keep the language when you lose your
I'm sure they
offensive
changed it up.
coordinator.
Like, remember that picture what Gibbs put on Instagram or something?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
with
yeah.
all, like the play calls. They'd change them up. So I'm
I
sure
mean, the
it's no
concepts will
problem.
stay the same, but I don't know how you leave the language the same, because he's fluent in it. So
As
it's
long
like
as you don't hear it,
but-
you're not listening in on it. I mean, what's the
Yeah,
big
I
deal?
think that I'm
they
pretty sure
got
it's illegal.
parabolic microphones.
Pretty sure
Yeah.
it's illegal.
Yeah.
They should. Well, Amon Ross speaks
But
German.
Ben looks
Maybe
like
they should
Gollum
all
now, so-
learn
Yeah.
German.
That's what they should do.
I like
and
it,
they could
Bob. I
do
like
the
it.
calls in German.
Oh God,
Well, on the defensive side of the ball, obviously Aaron Glenn, he's going
This
to
is
the
American
Jets.
team, Bob. No, I'm just kidding.
I forgot to mention Tanner Angstrand is interviewing for the offense coordinator position with the Jets.
Right.
And Aaron
Oh
Glenn.
man,
That'd be a tough loss. Apparently, John Morton is the one that helped grow his career and taught him a lot of what he knows. So maybe it's not as big of a loss.
He was actually
So,
who
I
I
mean-
thought was going
man.
to get the job.
I
That
thought
would have
so,
been my
too.
bet.
Same.
I thought so too.
ooh,
Um,
that
but anyway,
brings us
so
to
Aaron Glenn
another good
out.
news.
Kelvin Sheppard is now the defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Shep,
Uh,
baby.
Yeah,
I
baby.
love this.
Well
I freaking
deserved.
love this.
Well deserved.
Well
He's a
deserved.
stud. Like every time he talks, I find him captivating. Like that dude's just awesome, and like the way he talks about his players, the way he loves the team. Like I don't know, I love that guy. I'm excited. I'm excited that he's the OC or DC, and he was groomed by Glenn. Like so, Glenn got him ready for this, and he's gonna bring his own flavor now. Like
I hope he has
man,
the
I'm
leadership of
excited.
Glenn, but a slightly better coordinator than Glenn at the same time.
I don't know. I think he's pretty good in front of a room, from what I hear. And
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
what a meteoric rise for that guy's career, man. He's
Mhm.
seriously.
Yeah,
this is a
he
big
just-
jump for his
seriously.
age.
climbing up, man.
And he hasn't had to cut his hair at all yet.
Yeah, yeah. He was going to cut it, and Campbell's like, "Don't cut it, man.
Right.
I want
Yep,
you to be you."
exactly.
Hey,
Yeah.
I saw a thing recently where Chad Johnson was talking about his time with the Patriots,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just an interesting note that Belichick suppressed all that personality. He's like, you're just one other receiver. Like he was not Ocho Cinco. He wasn't special. He was he was a very tyrannical coach, very much just get in line and this is how it's done. And Dan Campbell, I don't know, I feel like he's like a benevolent dictator. He's like that, he is like the guy, it's his law, but he cares about his guys and wants them to be the best versions of themselves, and he bolsters who they truly are. And to me, that's just powerful. And I think obviously, you can talk to the outcomes of Belichick's way of doing things, but I think we're going to see a golden age of coaching and dominance and a new dynasty. It's going to be like the United States of America of football teams, the Detroit Lions under Dan Campbell. It's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, and part of the reason they could do that is the type of players. They have a very specific type of player they bring in. These guys are all
Yes.
dogs, man. These guys will all do anything that they have to do out there.
Exactly.
So
Mhm.
even these fringe guys, they have that in them. They
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
they'll play up. Yeah.
So you
Right,
just
even
made me think
like
of
a Pat
J-Mo's
O'Connor, like,
celebration.
we missed him in this game too.
Oh, yeah.
Like just
That
guys
was a
like that,
bummer.
like that. I mean, really thin.
Yeah, I hope he's
real
back
quick,
next year.
Sidebar: J-Mo's celebration on that reverse.
Oh, God.
Did anyone? It's
Yeah.
hilarious. He's such a dork. I love that kid, but he's such a goofball. Like he's just like, "What are you doing, J-Mo?" Like, it's not Saturday night with your like girl. What is going on? Like, I love though that Gibbs and Amon Ra are like tackling him as he's celebrating. Like, what are you doing, man? He's just so silly. But man, I thought of it because I'm like, he's still a dog. Like. He might be a goofball, but he's absolutely that mental makeup you just talked about that Brad goes for.
Definitely. Just to get to rest, Terrell Williams, our defensive line coach, he's going to be the defense coordinator for the Patriots now. He was defense line coach with Mike Vrabel in Tennessee. So that makes sense. We get Kacey Rogers, though, the D-line coach from the Buccaneers. That's a solid D-line. They've been top 3 against the rush the past 5 years. So that excites me. I do not mind that hire. They were familiar with Dan Campbell and him had time in Miami together.
Do you think Hutch is like part of that though? Like we just got like arguably the best defensive line coach this year, and then now we're replacing him with arguably a competitive one, like on a similar level. Like who wouldn't want to come here and see what they can get Hutch and like a Lee McNeil to do? I don't know, like I'd be excited to coach those guys, man. Like,
anyway, absolutely. Why wouldn't you? And hopefully we keep adding to it too this offseason.
Yeah.
If only had time with who's
Levi and Pascal.
No, the guy that got cut this year, the rookie from last year, 8 sacks.
I've already forgotten his name. James Houston,
Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer.
If only had time with James Houston.
Yeah, that shows how far he fell. Like,
he
they
really
still
dropped.
could have used him. You know, they lost other guys and they still didn't bring him back.
Yeah.
That injury must have really just taken away what he made him special. It's a shame.
You know, another notable change. So obviously, Kelvin Sheppard gets promoted, but then Sean Dion Hamilton is promoted to linebacker coach. 29 years old. Not too bad. Not too bad for a 29-year-old already moving up to linebacker coach.
Yeah. He was on the team, wasn't he, at one point? As a linebacker?
Yes, he's on our practice squad and such. Played in a few games here and there.
That's good for him, man.
Well, they said he got into coaching because, like, during one of the practices, the coaching staff like made the players be the coaches for a practice or two, and then the Lions, based on how he was during those practices, being like a fake coach, quote unquote, offered him a assistant job on the staff. And now look at him; he's already a linebacker coach. So
it's amazing.
Doing pretty good. Dave Phipp's still around, so not too many other changes, but a lot of changes nonetheless. So it should be a fun off season ahead of us here.
Oh yeah.
Anything else? I mean, do you guys think who do you think would be a better head coach of the two, Glenn or Johnson?
Glenn.
I always thought Glenn would be more natural, but I
agree.
I wouldn't write off Ben Johnson though. I think listening to him talk compared to Eberflus, it's night and day. But I think he's stealing a lot of Campbell. But
I think he fits perfectly next to like LaFleur and O'Connell. He's like that same kind of like, I'm like, hey, like it's like you're not intimidated by him. It's like you put Dan Campbell next to him and you're like, who do you want? Obvious, Dan Campbell, because he looks like a little bitch.
I think any coach in the league next to Dan Campbell.
Well, actually, that was one thing I did note. Like Dan Quinn was like one of the few guys that actually like sat on the other sideline that I didn't think looked like a bitch. And he didn't complain like a bitch either. So it was like, but I don't know. Ben just reminds me of those other two, like the young brainiac type. I don't know.
I did like Ben's comment where he's like, part of the reason he wanted to stay in the division was to beat LaFleur twice a year.
Yeah.
Did he say that?
He called him out personally. He said LaFleur.
That's good because I don't like that guy either.
That's pretty good.
I only said that because he's like the Bears head coach and they hate the Packers.
Sure.
But
playing up to the Bears crowd, but still, it's pretty funny.
All in all, I love that Ben's over there in a way because it creates an awesome like nemesis and like it's perfect like person to hate in the division. And it fits the golden era of NFC North I've envisioned where like the NFC North is really good, but the Lions just dominate it with an iron grip. I love it.
Yeah, it's a thin line between love and hate, gents, and love is turned to hate. in an instant.
Maybe next year all 4 NFC North teams will make the playoffs. Is that possible? Is that a thing?
Who knows?
It is possible. It
That'd be
just
wild.
sucks. Right now, my feelings are not going away. It feels like we watched this whole season and it went for nothing. It's somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to have the
I know it
back-to-back
didn't,
North
but it
crowns.
feels
but
like it.
Hey,
You know,
I just
I
want to
mean,
say
yeah.
I'm over it
It hurt.
already. And
Yeah, I've been
this
over for a while.
season, you said Z, which really bothered me that you said this 4 months that you wasted your life. It was
that was
brilliant 4
That's
months.
how I feel,
It was
okay? I
a
didn't
brilliant
actually-
4 months. It was some of the best football I've ever witnessed, and especially by our team. It was fantastic. Yeah, we didn't win the
Of
Super
course it
Bowl
was,
and all that
UJ.
stuff,
Yeah.
but goddamn, next year we're gonna.
yeah.
I have no doubt in
Just
my mind.
expressing
UJ,
myself.
I get what you're saying, and I'll probably get there, but I'm with Z. I'm still hurt, man.
Yeah.
I got knocked down, and I'm like laying there, like
You got to
What
put
happened?
it behind
You
you,
know?
man. I guarantee you, those players will put it
I
behind
don't
them.
want to. I don't want to
guarantee
lose
Campbell's
this
put it
feeling.
behind
I want
them.
it to. I want it to burn inside me and carry.
Oh my
this
God,
podcast
see.
forward
Oh,
even further
lordy,
than ever
lordy,
before.
lordy.
See,
But
you're gonna
yeah.
give yourself more gray hairs that way. You need to calm down.
my wife was wondering, if we were going to play taps, for the Lions, for this season. But we do it to kind of put the season behind us. Like I see,
Yeah.
put
Oh,
the
yeah.
season like on a
This is
boat
the wrap-up.
covered filled with wood, and you push it off, and then we stand there with flaming arrows. And then,
Yeah, that's not a bad
Flanking
idea.
thing up.
Funeral.
Not
You
a
can
bad
put the
idea.
rat on there.
yeah, put the rat.
No,
the rat would jump
he'll
off.
jump
when
off
the
the
fire
sinking
comes.
ship. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Riding away on the back of a
That's
bear.
a perfect
like a
image,
bitch.
Bob. I love it.
Yeah, but yeah, I'll get there, UJ. But I think a lot of fellow fans that I've talked to they're like the playoffs are kind of empty now. The next round.
Oh,
like,
that I
that's
agree
true.
with. I don't give a shit about the Super
yes.
Bowl at all. But
1,000,000%.
as far as
Yeah.
Like
I was telling after the Lions lost, I was telling people I wanted the Chiefs and the Eagles because nobody wants that and nobody should be happy.
And there you
I
go.
love that.
perfect.
I kind of hope the Chiefs win so we can break their
That's
dynasty
perfect.
streak.
That's perfect.
Well, I was hoping
Uh,
we would end it in the Super Bowl. But,
Well, that's what I'm saying. If they win, we still can.
Yeah.
But I will say it was interesting this year. Because last year, what we achieved was kind of beyond expectations, right? Like, as Kool-Aid drinkers, we have something nearing expectation with our optimistic look on things. But we overachieved by all things last year. This year, we underachieved, and being really good and losing has a different kind of pain to it. Like that expectation, it definitely hurt more this year. Like when we lost last year, I had this sort of but it was what an amazing season that was. It was the best season I'd ever
I'm with
seen
you,
in my
Rod
life
Dog.
to that point.
I felt that too. This one hurt more. I don't know.
It hurt.
A lot of people said last year because we would have been the Super Bowl, but we were that close. But I don't know. This one, I just had such high expectations for this team, and then it just ends suddenly.
Yeah.
Like,
and last year, at least there was
too.
some satisfaction. Like it was our first playoff win in 30 years. Like
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that one, this one just hurt more. But now it's like okay. I mean, it hurt like hell. Like I'm not gonna lie, it took me a minute, but I'm over it. It's because this team, it's just so different. Like this isn't like getting drummed out in the first round of the playoffs with Stafford because we went ass backwards into a wild card spot. Like this is like we got something brewing and seriously brewing here still. Like we were the best team in football this year for much of the season, and by all indications, by everything they're doing, by everything that's been set in place, that trajectory is just going to keep going up. And we did it despite ridiculous attrition on defense. Just ridiculous. Look at that IR list. It would be starting defense on people's teams. It's brutal. What we overcame, it was amazing to watch this team pull together all season. And the fact that it just kind of died in the playoffs sucks. But you know what? This ain't the same old Lions, despite some weak-minded people saying that. They're hurt. I'll forgive them, but this ain't the same old Lions. This is the new Lions. They're the top dog, and they just learned what it's like to get a 1 seed and take the best shot from some devil-may-care newcomer. But that's fine because they're gonna take their lumps. They're gonna learn. It's the hardening, like UJ said. And next year, I just this. I'm almost sad for the teams they're going to face right now. There's going to be some blood.
It's like any great athlete, guys. Short memory. Some whatever
right.
just happened, file it away, remember it, and then go on to the next one. So that's what we're doing right now. That's the way I'm looking at it. So I'm ready for the next one. Yeah.
Well, if you're wondering, the Lions' home games next year, the division opponents, Dallas, the Giants, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay. Then on the road, they have Washington, Philadelphia, Cincinnati, Baltimore, Kansas City, and the Rams. Wow, what a road schedule.
All I heard was corpses.
That is an unbelievable road schedule, though.
We're just facing a bunch of dead people. That's all I heard.
Either way, it makes the Lions a really good candidate to be to start off the year on like that Thursday night opener because they're going against the Eagles and Chiefs on the road.
Oh,
so
nice.
Either way, they'll play the Super Bowl champ at their place. So
bring it on, man.
I love it.
Those top teams, man. They doesn't matter what the schedule is.
Not
We're one of those guys now. So.
Right, exactly.
And that's like the thing. Like there was something about you do realize there was like some weird precedent working against us in this too. A no 15-0 or 15-win team has like one, I think, except for like maybe one or like the Super Bowl anyway. Like the 15 is like a weird threshold that's a lot of teams have achieved and then gone on to fail.
Like they haven't even been to the Super Bowl, or
no? Like I think like the only 15-win team that's won the Super Bowl was like the '85 Bears, I think, something like that. Anyway, there was some weird precedent like behind this. I'd have to look it up again, but it was having 15 wins. I don't know. There was obvious pressure because of all the winning we did.
All right, you do a little more research and get back to us on the next episode about 15.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
All right. Well, I guess really quick before we sign off, who are you rooting for in the Super Bowl? Chiefs or Eagles out of the two? Or who's going to win? Say who's going to win, rather.
Chiefs are going to win.
Chiefs.
I think the Eagles win.
I'm not rooting for anyone.
I want the Chiefs to win because I want to break the dynasty with the Lions when we get there. You know, that's another thing. It did feel, as soon as Hutch went down, maybe this season was already in a way broken because it felt so weird, the thought of him not being there for our first Super Bowl win. And at that point, we did have to kind of like pull together a certain level of like delusional, like just like dedication to the next man up ideology.
If you hate Giants fans, the Eagles winning would be amazing.
That's a good point.
They give up Saquon, and then he goes and wins the Super Bowl right away.
Gets the MVP.
Well, I'll tell you, I hate Eagles fans, Bob. Me and you went to a game. You remember that?
Oh yeah.
They're the worst.
Oh yeah,
they're the worst.
They're the
They're
worst. The worst.
That's what makes me not want to root for them in the game.
Yeah,
the fans are the worst.
That's right.
The
Let
Flyers,
it be the Chiefs,
the Flyers,
and we'll knock the Chiefs off next year. So.
Yeah.
Slay. I would have. Slay's the only. I like Saquon. I like Slay, but beyond that, I couldn't.
But
care
again,
less.
what did the Chiefs do? And like the good teams do in the playoffs, they don't turn the damn ball over. They don't do it. Patrick Mahomes has thrown one interception in 4 years in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So,
and the Lions have to
Goff
learn to
threw
flop like Kelsey and Mahomes do too for the refs.
Here's
Well,
one
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Sell those calls a little better.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you guys? One thing, like that Goff thing we said earlier. What we went back on, like Goff is this. Why does this game undo everything he did? He's been to a Super Bowl. Why suddenly he can't get us there? Even. I'm sorry.
Well,
It's
we
just
all
like the
know
amount
that
of like
the
amount of mental gymnastics people do when they're hurt and angry is amazing.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, it's the NFL. People will love to overreact immediately within
That's for
24
sure.
hours. So, all right. Well, I think it's going to wrap it up for us here.
What an amazing season it
was
was,
a tough
boys.
episode, but we got through it.
Yeah.
Was it tough? I had fun.
It's tough to talk about this loss for me, at least.
Z, you need to like go on like a retreat
You know
or
how many
something and like find some zen, brother.
I don't know if you
Like,
guys got
You're letting
the
this
same
like
sentiment.
get way too into you.
Because a lot of our circles are like we're the only Lions fans in some respects that our other friends know and such. But like, I got a lot of people texting me like a relative died after this game.
Oh, sorry.
Like wellness check on you, Z. Everything okay over there, etc.
Well, the way you're acting, that's appropriate, I think.
I know, and I shouldn't go watch the rest of the game, but I just want to know where we went
Just
wrong.
go to church, pray, let it go.
Anyways,
It's okay. We
all
got
right.
next year, baby.
Well, we'll wrap it up here. If you subscribe to us on YouTube at DTBK_Lions, type in Drinking the Blue Kool-Aid, subscribe to us. It should hopefully be up there for you to watch, and you can see Bob's bobblehead. Who is that there, Bob?
Exclusive on YouTube.
Oh, it's Amon Ra. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if it looks like Amon Ra. That's too much hair. Too much hair in the
it's
top.
not the
of that.
best.
Should do it blue.
Yeah, his head should be upside down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was awesome.
Picture him in a white
Oh,
Oh
uniform.
man,
Yeah.
you know what? We're gonna have to do like a memoriam of this season. I think next, like just all the positives, because there's so much damn good stuff to talk about this year. Like, what an amazing year this was. Like, it's I know it ended on like a sour note. We didn't get the Super Bowl, but like we were 15-2, boys. Like, it was awesome. We only lost 2 games. Or 3, okay, fine. But whatever.
15-3.
Like, this team was freaking awesome. There was
Yeah.
some of the best Lions football I've seen in my life. Like, oh God, what an amazing season. And you know, it wasn't the ultimate goal, but like, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. This was a hell of a season.
You just don't want
And-
to turn into the Packers and be like regular season great.
Yeah,
and then get
exactly.
bounced in the
No,
playoffs.
we're not. That's
Yep.
not our fate, baby.
We don't want to be the
Lions-
Bills. We don't
Dan
wanna be the
Campbell won't let that
Bills.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Bills are like the most edge team in history. God bless them. We can't be that.
That is tough. That
Like,
is tough.
That's just brutal. Their fate, like, if Josh Allen never gets there and it's like because of Mahomes, that's gonna be like the most painful.
They also have
like,
the history of losing 4 straight Super Bowls, which is just remarkable.
That's right.
So,
Yeah.
brutal.
Those are some great teams too.
anyway,
Yeah. Let's not think about the dark thoughts, guys. Move on. I was trying to be positive.
Instagram at Drinking the Blue Kool-Aid, Twitter /X at Drinking Lions. Follow us on there. Thanks to Fansided for their support of the podcast. But then really, I mean, for this, we'll probably take a little break here in the next few weeks. I know we got this a week later. A lot of people clamor for us to get this one out. So
So,
I got a
some
text
mood.
during this podcast. When's the next one?
yeah, I know.
I'm like, we're recording it right now.
But you know, great job. We of course have to thank our producer, Kid J. For crushing it every single week throughout this entire season.
Hey,
Best
Z.
podcast producer out there.
He ain't no rat.
Do you have any questions about
He's
his
the best.
producing or anything like
Oh,
that?
rat.
Or
He's no rat. He's not hopping to a Bears
The ones that
podcast.
are
Hell
just
no.
keeping
Hell
up.
no.
Sticking around.
we
Hey,
can fire him anyways.
you Kid J is great, but I want to thank you guys, you know, for getting on here throughout this season. You guys, this was awesome. I love doing this with you. And I appreciate you.
Oh, why is the season over? We should be talking about the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Yeah, I just want to thank you guys.
Yeah, it's
Great-
been fun.
Great
doing
It
season.
was
this.
a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, of course. That's why we do it. We do it.
We do. I thought we did it for the kids.
Yeah. And it's
For the
therapeutic.
cheap-
And the money.
All the money.
The
and
money.
$10.
Oh yeah, loads of money.
$10 that we get to pay for the software.
Well, Zach, you're making your kids into Lions fans too. So
Oh, yeah.
you
Yeah,
yeah,
hate your
just
kids
see,
that much.
Remember, the anxiety you feel will transfer. So if you can,
Oh, I know.
regulate
My
it.
son, I mean, as you know, I wasn't on the last couple podcasts because my son was born early.
Uh-oh.
And I thought he was born early to like rush out and see the Lions playoff game in time, which he did. And I was like, oh boy, he should have just
Oh.
stayed in there a little longer, buddy.
So he's only known the Lions as losing,
Yes,
Where
he's 0-1 in his
where your
Short
other
little
child
life.
has only known them. as
wait,
winning.
what's his name?
Ben.
Oh, what? Which did it?
What?
Oh my God!
Seemed like a good idea. Let's say
Future,
Ben
he's a
Johnson.
future trader, as offense coordinator for the Detroit Lions.
Oh god.
You gotta call him by his middle name now.
Well, his middle name is Jay, so
Ben Aaron.
Jay it is.
same initials,
Yeah.
BJ.
Oh boy.
Oh, God, Jay it is.
Yep. Little Z
Yeah,
though, at least my firstborn son. He's
Did he
much more
console you
successful
afterward?
in his life.
How did he feel about the loss?
Devastated. He couldn't wake up
Till he
couldn't
got
wake
his
up.
cookie?
He fell asleep at halftime. Didn't wake up the rest of the night.
See, take a lesson from your kid. You
Yeah,
know,
he knew it
Just
was over.
Be chill.
Yeah. He had a Jared Goff jersey that his grandma got him, and he was trying
Wait,
to like rip
you
it
know
off
what?
and burn it. I was like, no, it's okay.
Did
It's
you
okay,
guys
little
answer
man.
the question?
What's that?
Is golf gonna get us there? I don't. I answered it. Did you guys answer it? Do you
Yes,
guys
he's
feel
gonna
good
get
at
us there.
golf?
Yeah, he's
I
got.
guess
We don't have a choice.
Okay.
What? What was that? Z? What was that? We don't have a choice.
Oh, it's
Ever.
under contract, right?
Well, you know what? Apply that to your whole fandom because you have no choice about what they do, so you can really forget about all of it.
He will get us there. He will get us there.
I love Goff, and he's been to a Super Bowl, so that's proof that he can get there.
He did not do good in that Super Bowl, but yes, he did get there.
But he got there.
All right. We
All
wrap it
right.
up. Thank you, everybody, for
I love you
listening.
guys.
We really, of course, mostly appreciate
We love
our
you,
listeners for
fans.
sticking it with us through this entire season.
If you're here now, you're the best for real.
We know, I'm sure you hurt along with us, but that's okay. Like Rud Dog, Bob, and UJ said, there are brighter days ahead for this organization. And we can't wait to keep talking about it with you. I'm sure we'll have more to talk about this season in later episodes. It might be a couple weeks or a few weeks before we're back on. We'll probably take a little break for the podcast.
Yeah.
Enjoy the Super Bowl, I guess.
If you can.
Yeah, or go golfing or something. Or...
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah,
idea.
spend some time with your family that you haven't over the past however many
Drill a
Sundays,
hole through your
20
forehead.
Sundays.
You know what I did, guys? I bought a dirt
What?
bike.
Hell yeah.
Oh, you did.
Now
You
we're
did?
talking.
Yeah,
I knew you were talking
did.
about. That's awesome.
I did. So I'm gonna
Cool.
go racing.
Take me
so I don't
riding.
know what
That's
you guys
awesome.
are gonna do. So do whatever.
Put some videos of it on our Instagram,
I'm
UJ.
jealous.
I will.
Show off the fans.
I will.
Show off the fans.
Yeah.
All right.
See you, Jay's
All right,
dirt
guys.
bike.
Well, we're going to wrap it up.
Yeah.
For the last time this 2024-2025 season, last but not least, as always,
Go.
Go.